Welcome to the Wealth Matters podcast, where investors come together to better understand how to build passive cash flow and create generational wealth without all the confusing mumbo-jumbo. Here's your host and co-author of Amazon #1 bestseller, Alpesh Pamar.
Welcome to Wealth Matters podcast. I am going to talk to Mr. Martynas Fedotovas today. Martynas is the owner of social media company that helps real estate investors and property managers to create social media presence that will help them increase sales or revenue, increase deal flow, and become an authority. He himself has an YouTube channel, Beating Alpha, and I was the guest on that channel as well. So welcome, Martinez.
Thank you, Alpesh. It's always great talking with you. So I really appreciate it for having me on. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So tell us something interesting or funny about yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if it's interesting or funny, but the social media business wasn't the business that I started, and that
Okay.
wasn't really intentional. Because I told this story a couple times. The previous mentor that I got, he looked at my previous current business at that time, and he was like, "Look, what you doing?" Because I provided this kind of financial education service, like because I'm coming from that background, and but the audience that I was talking with, it was kind of I was trying to pick up people from the bottom and lift them up and tell them, look, you need to change your finances. And he
Right.
said, look, it's going to be a tough audience, it's going to be a hard sale, like because those people don't want to hear that, and they're just continuing with their personal lives. And he said, look, and so instead of that, you should do social media, because he said, look, I looked at your personal social media because I used to upload my own personal content, like for YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, things like that. So he was like, you should do that instead, because he said I'm seeing that there's not a lot of companies, or at that time, probably it was about 3 years, almost 4 years ago, there
Yeah.
were not many companies, providing social media for, service for the businesses, and like syndication and new syndicators were popping up like mushrooms overnight, and like all over the place. So he was like, you need to go and provide these people a service. And I was like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. It makes a ton of sense. And, I was like, okay. So I remember the time I was sitting in a cafe, and in 1 hour, something like almost 2 hours, I completely stripped the website, like rebranded everything. And that's how the business started. So I don't know if it's a funny story, but, it's just, unintentional kind of business by mistake.
No, that's interesting, and I think a lot of us can relate to that, right? Because you got to be prepared to make change, right? Because you
Yep.
you start with something else, and that's what entrepreneurship is all about, right? You have to. I don't know if you read that book called "Who Moved My Cheese," right? You got to.
Yep.
It's a great book. It's a very small read, like 80 pages, but it talks about you got to be nimble enough or flexible enough to make the change. Hey, so
Indeed.
let me ask you this question: do you also invest in real estate?
I do not, as I said, before we started recording, but I do believe, because again, talking on beating alpha, because for now, again, we have almost, I think, 200 episodes. At least I know that we schedule in advance, like we probably have 200 episodes. And from talking with these people, I mean, if we, because again, real estate is real estate. There's different
Right.
asset classes. So, but talking with a lot of multifamily investors, it's kind of no-brainer. It's a very simple business to understand. And again, almost all of the investors that I talked about, at the end, they always ask me, "Are you investing? Are you looking to invest?" And I'm like, "Look, at the moment, everything is just coming back to the business, because we're expanding our businesses, at the same time. But we definitely gonna be investing at some point passively in some of the deals with some of the people,
So what do you invest in?
myself and the business.
Yeah, okay. That's
Yeah.
good to know. So, uh, how did you start with social media marketing? I know you mentioned you changed things around, but what was going on in your mind, and what was your target audience going to be?
Hmm. So at the time, again, I was just, I wasn't, probably I should pay attention to the people that were already, established in the marketplace. At least talking about the big companies who are probably servicing companies like Ford or Pepsi or things like that, and kind of try to duplicate some of the systems that are in place for those companies. But I didn't pay attention, so of course probably I burned some bridges because I was just kind of using the shotgun approach when I blasted out information to the people, and probably that wasn't the right way. Like I used to send like messages recorded on the phone and say, hey Justin, look, I'm sending this message because I want to get in contact with you, like I have the service and I think
Right.
we can provide value for you. So I did that. It was a little bit kind of creative and a little bit more personal, but at the same time I was just kind of instead of building a relationship or going whatever the slower way, I was like, look, I have this and you need this. So for like, and that's the approach. Then later again my mentor said, look, if you're going to be talking with people in the US, and I think that's a good advice for investors also, to kind of understand the demographics, because when you're talking with people again in US, that's one thing, but when you're going to be talking with the people in Japan or Asia or India or Europe, those people accept, and those some people like to be pitched. Some people, they're allowed and they're going to be in front of your faces depending on the nationality, and some people are very quiet, and it's and some countries and nationalities are a little bit more quiet. And so I needed to understand that probably I needed to kind of back off a little bit and take it easy. But my natural nature is just like I like to push. I like to push. I don't like to sit around and talk about and take the time. And that's what's happening with the guests sometimes. They're like, should we do an introductory call, or can we, or this is going to be a podcast? No, like this is the podcast, because I don't want to waste the time to talk with people. If I know them a little bit and I see those people are going to be the right fit, look, why waste the time? And I think that's advice for everybody. Don't waste the time. Do these extra additional tasks. Like, oh, do that and this and that because you want to look very sophisticated. I
Right.
mean,
And
unless it doesn't give you any results, then you have to slow it down and take it easy. But I think that was probably the biggest kind of for me way to understand that everybody is different. So.
and a great point you mentioned. And when I started my podcast as well, I used to schedule the call with the guest, right? Trying to
Mhm.
understand, make sure we build a repo and whatnot. And then I realized, it's not the best use of my time. So
Yeah.
about, and we have done about 110 episodes, about 30 episodes in, I stopped doing that. I just asked my VA to do the, kind of the research for me on that guest, and then she gives me idea, she writes up, she sends me an email, and then I read it for 5 minutes and I understand that this is a good fit and what kind of questions I should be asking. And that's what you
Yeah.
and I did, right? When I recorded on your podcast and then you are here, we didn't need to connect.
Yeah.
Right, just
Exactly.
yeah, so that's okay. So let's talk about real estate investors, because I know you do work with a lot of real estate investors and property managers, as well as
Mhm.
you interview them a lot as well, right? So
Yep.
why do real estate investors need to have presence on social media?
Well, I mean, that's the question that I get a lot. And again, if we still, like, don't get offended, but, if we still ask that question, why we should use the social media, that means that person is behind the social media. Because social media has been a while for a long time where we supposed to kind of take it is just like, going and eating. It's something that we do, but, it's like, what are you going to eat? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? So is it going to be the Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or like, so you just pick whatever's on a plate, but the plate is there, and people are feasting on it. People are eating from that plate already, and it's getting smaller. People are worried about that the plate is getting smaller because there's so many people on that, and that's what's happening. The place is getting saturated. Well, it's
Right.
not getting saturated, but the competition is becoming bigger. So imagine if somebody had been on Facebook, because I remember the Facebook when it came out, and I used to work at that time. I remember working in a factory, and some guy came up to me. He was like, "Show me on the phone this. Look, is the Facebook is going to be the next thing?" And I'm looking at it like, that's kind of stupid, Like I have my phone, I have the address book, everything's in it. Like, why do I need somebody to kind of like the Facebooks? But I didn't see the picture at that time because I wasn't there. But it took off because the Facebook didn't care about my personal opinion. They knew what they were doing, and all these big companies, they're gonna be here for a while, for a long time. And again, people asking that question, should I use the social media? Of course you should, because a lot of businesses, and again, the COVID proved it again, once again, that a lot of businesses do survive because of the social media. Because look, a lot of businesses right now, and during these times of the still watching in the COVID, a lot of businesses are thriving who are based on software, online like businesses. Anything that's happening online is thriving right now. Like the other business that we have, it's we are both owners in a kind of my wife's business. It's a fitness industry. Like that business took off like a rocket. Like when the COVID started, that the times are the best for these type of businesses. So again, real estate investing is being definitely one of them because I always give an example.
So,
Say, go
but
ahead.
so sorry to interrupt. I know that those are some great points, but then there are some people, and of course, I'm on social media because this is what I do.
Yeah.
But there are some people they are on social media, right? But they don't talk about their real estate piece, right? They would be on Facebook sharing their dog and cat pictures, and on Instagram this and that.
Yeah.
So yes, they have presence on social media, but how important is it to share their real estate investing journey?
Well, you definitely look at it because if I'm going to be looking to invest in some of the deals right now, I would invest because again through the relationships that I build. Because again, I have a availability to interview people on the podcast, so that's good for me. And again, I do recommend everybody to start the podcast and build their own personal brand because podcast is, right now is like having this digital business card. I mean, it's a great thing and
Yeah.
great way to build connections. But when like if I wouldn't have that, I would definitely go and look at the people's profiles. I want to see, as mentioned, the family, the dog, the lifestyle that they live, kind of the casual, non-businessy part. But still, I want to see the business too, because if I don't get like from a couple of scrolls, like on a feed, if I don't get the good picture, like what this person is all about, if I see only the family, the leisure, like I don't know, it's probably he takes or she spends more time on that than the business. That's the opinion that I would get. So
Gotcha.
again, everybody has the different opinions, but you definitely need to talk about the business if that's what you do. Because look, when you're gonna go on different feeds, you're gonna see different amount of posts for the business or for the leisure, because people are in different cycles in life, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's getting started, somebody's almost retiring. So we have to measure like who we actually looking at. And yeah, but definitely look at that. And for me, if I'm looking, like I want to see somebody who's active and have a lot of active posts on social media who are talking about why real estate is great and something that will be kind of capturing my attention. Because Alfish yourself, like there's a lot of people, including young people just like us, they don't have the time, for to look at something that is boring. And again, if you cannot capture people's attention in a few seconds, it's pretty much it. But look, there are 7 billion people. Again, not all of them are going to be your potential investors,
Right.
but there's that. You definitely need to post it. I mean, and it doesn't come down only just for Instagram or Facebook. I mean, of course, I'm probably sure you have the question, which platforms? Is
Yeah.
like as many as you possibly can. But now the question is comes back to, look, I'm a real estate investor. I'm not a marketer, which, it's very difficult for people because a lot of people that I came across again on the podcast, I do understand the budget, the financial issue, because some of the people are just getting started and they think allocating the portion of the capital, whatever that's 0.001%, is a huge investment or a huge waste of time or whatever they think about. But look, again, it's coming back to the point where I was looking at the Facebook. You just don't get it because you're a real estate investor. So you probably think, oh, this is kind of the secondary thing. Look, your livelihood depends on that. Again, because you mentioned before we recorded, you said the amount of relationships that if you're going to do JVs, you're going to raise capital, the amount of network that you can build through social media. And at the end of the day, the quote, as everybody's probably getting bored of that quote, your network is your net worth.
Right.
But it's true. And how during the COVID, how are you going to expand your network? How are you going to build your network? It's through social media. You cannot shake hands anymore unless it's digital.
Right.
So yeah, make sure to do that.
No, that's a great point. So, can you show different ways one can market on social media, especially the person who does not have a podcast or an YouTube channel, and they have the W-2 job, so they are not looking forward to do that, but they invest in real estate or maybe invest in other assets, private equity or whatnot. How can they market on social media? Just not maybe I should not use word market, but how can they make their presence felt in the social media?
Yep. And the best way is definitely coming back to the podcast point, but it's because again, if they're busy having W-2 job, working full time, I do understand the time isn't there. So what do I recommend? Book one day and one day only, let's say in a week, pick one day, whatever you feel the freest or the weekend, and put in that one day whatever you can squeeze in, 3, 4, 5, 10 interviews, but interviews of you being on other people
Right.
podcasts.
And I was going there. Yeah, that's the best way. Another way, right? You don't have to
Yeah.
start your own thing. You can
Yeah.
just be, on other podcasts like yours and mine.
Exactly, exactly. Because look, and that's coming back to the point. If you said, look, the person has the time, good, start the podcast, start your personal brand. But if you're busy, be on other people's podcasts because I see, and there's supposed to be equally. Well, it depends again on the strategy that you're looking to follow. There should be a divided kind of effort. So let's see, 40% you can go on some other people's podcast if you have the time to build your own brand, and 60% you're going to be having the guest on because you want to talk with the people. And of course, as I mentioned, I'll give you a different approach on having a podcast and the ways real estate investors and syndicators actually supposed to have it instead of right now having this kind of cookie cutter approach, as I mentioned. But definitely in the beginning stages, go on other people's podcast. It's not that hard to get booked. If you just talk with the people, if you're scared of that, if you feel like you're, a beginner, you're an introvert, which of course I don't believe in being an introvert because I'm an introvert, but I'm here talking on a podcast, because look, when you talk about something that you love, that you're passionate about, you forget about yourself. You're just looking to provide value to the listeners, to the audience. And, so if you just do that, with that intention, you talk with somebody and say, hey, listen, I'm looking to provide value from, as far as I know right now about the real estate. I'm looking to build my personal network, and help other people, because that's the core kind of message for the syndicators, right? I think it
Right.
didn't change because that's the message. Look, you want to help other people instead of providing, stock market, volatile investments. You're providing stable, kind of secure. Where of course you cannot do that because of SEC regulations, But actually, you're looking to do that. You're looking to help other people to provide a solid investment. So when you do that with that type of intention, it's going to be easy to get booked. And there's so many different podcasts. Everybody, like the people who are watching right now, look, I'll give you that. If you think it's hard to get booked, contact me personally. Let me know. I cannot find any people to be on their podcast. I'll send you an email with probably 80 or 50 people or something like that that probably will love you to have you on their podcast. So
Right,
that's no
and I
problem.
agree. So when I started again for first episodes, I used to send email to invite people to be on my podcast. I would say last 50 or plus podcast episodes I've recorded, people have been reaching out to me, right? Especially the podcast scheduling platforms, right? That, oh, we have this person, would you be interested, right? So I don't have to now search and look for people, or the people who I know. Now people started reaching out to me, right? So as you said, there's so many ways to appear on those podcasts. Hey, so
Yeah.
another question I have, because there's so many social media platforms. Let's start with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, and most probably I missed some as well. So, which social media platform should investor focus on? Right? Is there, let's say, if you had to pick one or two, what are the best platforms out there?
I'll just have to keep on saying the same thing all over again. It's definitely the podcast
Okay.
because yeah, the podcast, as I mentioned, this kind of digital business card, which again, these times, because look, and now I explain why people use the podcast in a wrong way for them to kind of understand a little bit more why I'm talking about the podcast so much, and instead of talking about bigger pockets, which still, look, it's a great place to put your work out. But
Right.
look, to write a blog post containing 1,000 words or a couple thousand words and kind of, talk about your journey or give advice to people, I mean, it's difficult. You have to take the time to actually sit down and,
Yes.
put everything, it's
Right.
time consuming. And, having a podcast, first of all, if you're building a business, coming back to the network part, you need people. It's either you need to build the people who can actually help you to source the deals, brokers, you need those people, you need passive investors. And look, that's what the podcast is supposed to be for. So again, for the people, and again, I love your podcast name because it's not focused on syndication. There's no word syndication in it,
Right.
you know,
It,
which makes you again. There's a lot of great podcasts out there, and I'm sure a lot of people familiar that has the word syndication, but
yeah.
you kind of get stuck in that place where all you do is basically allow other people who are syndicators, which I think is a huge mistake in the long run.
Right.
Because look, especially now during these times, like everything that I do personally, like look, if I'm providing social media service for real estate investors, property managers, I don't like it's the same. It would be the same as inviting other social media agencies on my show.
Right.
Like, what's the reason? Like, why do you want to invite the competition to talk about why they are so great? Like, I don't want to do that. I want to have my potential clients on the podcast so I
Right.
can talk with them, have a
Exactly.
build a meaningful relationship, and maybe again at the end of the conversation, I say, hey, listen. Throughout the conversation, I found out about about you guys a little bit. Again, I love what you guys do, and let's see if that makes sense. I can like help you. I can provide like free social media call, and let's see if that makes sense. If you're into that, look, I'm not here to sell you anything. But because again, you have to kind of sense that because not all the time you're gonna try to sell people anything, or pitch
Right.
them.
Right.
Because sometimes, look, there's no connection. It's just not working. You say, thanks for being on the show. Listen, let me know if I can help you any way possible, and maybe I can refer you some people and help you to build your business that way. But you definitely should have other people on your podcast if you're looking to raise money. People who are business owners, different industries, fitness, some shipping business, anything. Have those people on a podcast, and if you're good at again building those kind of relationships with people, which a lot of people are, they're good at networking parts. So they should use that and build the network. And at the end of the conversation, instead of thank you for being on a podcast, hey, what do you think about real estate investing? Again, we talked about your business a little bit. Can we schedule another call and kind of understand what the business is all about? Again, I'm not a real estate investor, so for me to come up with this pitch, but
Right.
just get your own
No.
pitch.
I see the point, and this is
Yeah.
and thank you for mentioning about Wealth Matters podcast. And when I started, and even now, my goal is not to. Of course, I invest heavily in real estate. That's why I would say
Mhm.
60-70% of the guests on the podcast are real estate investors. But I also interview people like you, right? And then people like who are investing in crypto space, gold space, right?
Yeah.
Because anything other than stock market I want to talk to people about, right? I have some people I interviewed, they were doing their private investments, right? Private equity. They have their own branded businesses like yours, right? So because I want to know how people are building wealth, right? Long term wealth. So no, that's a great point. Another question I have though, how is marketing on each platform different, right? Can I just upload a video on YouTube and take that same video and put it on Instagram or Facebook or even TikTok or LinkedIn? Because I think LinkedIn
Yeah.
has to be a little bit more professional. So how do you think the marketing differs on each of those platforms?
That's definitely it. I mean, you kind of answered your own question right there, but that's what exactly what people are supposed to do. Like all the content that you need, if you're saying, oh my God, I'm so busy, I cannot find the time. Look, all you need is this. All you need is just a video. And from there magic happens. So but first of all, you need to understand again what your personal message is, because the question that I have personally when like we having this kind of onboarding session calls or even before that talking about the service, people ask me, so now you're going to build this brand, so now you're going to take over, you're going to blow us up, and we're going to be the next BlackRock or something. I'm like, no, look, because the message is your message. Like I know my core values, I know why we do what we do, and I know the reasons why everything is going. So I cannot instill, my thoughts and our thoughts and ideas what your company should look like. Because the values are the values. People have to understand because the values will reflect in the branding, you know.
Right.
And that's why like I have that conversation with people, try to understand, okay, what your business is all about, what you guys are working on, try to understand every angle as possible because that's a big conversation. Because how are you gonna stand out if you're gonna be the same, you know?
Right. Right.
That's kind of the important piece. But taking that video, so again, coming back to the point of understanding your values and presenting that through the video, because if you think you're good on camera, you definitely not. because if you're saying you're good, you're not, because there's other people on a different level. Because when I look at my personal like videos, so when they drop out, like I'm beating alpha, when I'm asking questions people, and I'm like, man, that's bad. That's like really bad, But because I'm gonna be always, it doesn't matter if it's gonna be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I'm always gonna say that. Like it always can be better. So if you're
Right.
saying I'm really good at the camera, you're probably not,
I
and
thought
you
I
probably
am.
need. It's good. Look, I'm not saying it's not good to have the
It's-
self confidence and believe that you can do things,
uh,
but there's always ways to improve. And when you talk with people, you should present the confidence that you're good, that you're a good communicator, you know how to talk and ask,
right.
effective questions. But personally, when behind the scenes, it's like, it could be a little bit better. So
Right.
working on that angle, because the way you're going to talk with people and have again the conversations with the past clients is like, they're expecting X result from a certain video, and they're asking me a question like, look, I expected this to like a ton of people register, because there was a certain links included for like, stuff that he was putting out, kind of giving out for free. And I said, look, you want to be honest with you? I mean, that video that you're saying is really good. It's not that good, and that's the truth, because I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't matter. You're a client. You're, whatever. I'm like, I will be very transparent and honest with you and give you my personal opinion, because look, being in a social media business, I'm seeing a lot of people who are good, great, bad, and not supposed to be on social media at all, So again, there's ways to improve and grow and present your message in the right way. So when you become great on social, and again, that takes practice. I'm not going to be here to discourage you. People don't go and talk, on social media and things
Right.
like that. But try to improve as quick as you can, and then take that video, strip it. You can strip the audio. Again, you can, first of all, you can grab the video. That's the full length video. And again, if you're going on other people's podcasts, take that video, ask them to send the file, or you can grab it again through online. Like everything is there.
Right.
Take
Yes.
that full upload to your YouTube channel, full. Then take the segments, and that would come into, again, oh my god, the time is in there. But look, if it's important, which it is, you have to find the time. You have to make the segments
Oh,
shorter.
yes.
So let's say if Alpesh, you ask me the question, what do you think is the difference between this and that? It starts with that question. That's the name of the clip. What's the difference between Facebook and TikTok? And then basically how long I'm talking here right now for 5 minutes. That's going to be the short episode.
I
And you
see.
upload these episodes, and from one episode you get the long episode, and depending on how many questions you got, could be 10 shorter segments,
I see.
and those are going to be stripped as audio uploaded, long one, short one on a podcast. Then you can do, and what you can do, you can grab that piece, transcribe it, and make it a blog post, which again is going to be very easy to then upload to bigger podcast, or to as an article on LinkedIn. And then you can use the same video again, because the dimensions is a little bit different on a TikTok. It's kind of, as
Right.
an Instagram story. Use the same segment if you think, because TikTok, again, it's a beautiful platform that a lot of people still don't understand. I'll give you some statistics. Like recently, we kind of offered the TikTok service for people as well, and I'm sure you came across some people on Facebook feed when you're scrolling and see other people. They have the TikTok video because you see this kind of TikTok
Yes.
logo images. Yeah, so you see already recent investors start to use TikTok, and more of those people will do, because look, the big brands are now going and marketing stuff again on TikTok, because TikTok is,
Right.
is a really hot place. But the reason why I want to say, like, we created this kind of testing, A/B testing account for TikTok, and it's not in real estate industry, different industry, and that industry is a little bit hot right now, so maybe that's why it took off. But look, the numbers are insane. Like, it took in almost 1.5 weeks, that account grew from 0 followers to 150,000 followers in one and a
Whoa.
half weeks.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and now it's continued to grow, because like the old viral videos, you still pick up the views, pick
Right.
up the followers. So every time you refresh that, you see new followers, new likes, everything's come in. So it's
Okay. So,
gonna
couple of questions there.
sure.
Because I know LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, they are already big. Everyone is almost on all of this platform now, right? So,
Yeah.
and we are talking about TikTok, and I heard from, I'm trying to throw a curveball at you, but what's the next and upcoming platform? Is that TikTok, or do you also see any other platforms coming up?
Well, the next platform. So let me just look at my phone because I forgot the name. But I remember Clubhouse.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
that's
I'm on Clubhouse,
yeah.
but
You say
I have not started using it. But
yeah.
yeah, the
Same here.
Clubhouse.
Same here. I was actually having a conversation yesterday, I think a couple of days ago, with one guy, and he was like, "Do you want me to send you an invite to Clubhouse?"
Yeah,
I was like, no,
yeah.
because
I
look,
I said no 6 months ago, 3 months ago, and then finally one of my friends said, "Oh, why are you not there?" And I accepted. I'm like, "What? I don't know."
yeah. Look, the reason is what I'm saying no, because look, that's the problem again with people, because they're saying, I don't know, there's a lot of people saying, oh, it's going to be the next trendy thing, and it's going to be this, and
Right,
it's going to be that. Look, could be not.
right.
But look, I'm not willing, because again, look, there's so many different podcasts, and look, I came across businesses, multiple businesses, who are doing their business only on YouTube, and they're six-figure a month businesses.
Right.
That's all they do. Like you don't have to do the entire seven, eight different platforms. It's good to diversify your efforts for the simple reason of human behavior and psychology because people consume information different ways, visual,
Yes.
auditory, But overall, it doesn't like why people still, it's very funny. Like investors go and talk about, oh, people are been investing, going and chasing the shiny object, but it's the same when you do with the social media. You
Right.
kind
Because
of go
there's
and
so
chase.
much. I'm like, I
Yeah,
can't keep up.
exactly. And people feel frustrated. That's where I think, because look, at the end of the day, a real estate investor is a real estate investor. Don't try to act as a marketer like you understand, oh, the clubhouse is going to be next thing. Like, how do you know you're a real estate investor? Because you heard a couple of people talking and they mentioned
Right.
something on a podcast and they have also nothing to do with marketing. You think this is going to be the next thing. I'm not saying it cannot be, because I like it could be the same as Facebook that I was looking at and was like, man, that's stupid. It could be that, but I'm not willing to suffer at the time because look, there are platforms that already giving people results, and there are certain strategies that you're going to apply and still get results from these platforms. Why go and chase the next shiny object? Look, in the time of the COVID, you're going to see and still continue to see a lot of brand new brands, companies, softwares coming up online. And
Yes.
that's, so what you're going to do every time something new will come up, you're going to go and chase that. Like, how much time do you have? you know,
But how do you think TikTok is doing, or
it's gonna do super well.
Oh, really? Okay.
The reason that because I know because I live in Ireland, and there was an article actually about I think 4 months ago, maybe longer because time is going really fast. But TikTok is actually building a facility right now in Ireland, which is
Oh,
going to be only the servers, and the facility cost $500 million.
wow.
So I'm pretty sure they're going to stay for a while.
Right. And my second question is, do you have to make funny videos for TikTok? Or, the same videos will work? Because the
The
only thing
same,
I see or people send me, again, I have not been using it, but the funny videos, right?
yeah. Look, if you're a bad dancer, you don't have to dance. That's what I'm saying, But if you're not good at saying jokes, don't say the jokes. Like just be you, because there's audience for everybody. Personally, me, I'm not. I don't consider myself a funny guy, being a funny, and especially on social media. I cannot crack jokes or dance because it's just not me. I'm too serious for that stuff. But I cannot train myself to do that type of stuff. So I don't encourage people to fake and become not who you are. Just continue to be your authentic self. But I'm sure you can extract something that is more entertaining or engaging, a little bit more funny from this 20, 40, 50 minute interview that you got. I'm sure there was something funny in that. And
Yes.
you can put some clips together to make
No,
it funny in 1 minute.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So this was awesome. Let's take a quick break, and after the break, we'll go through the same 5 questions I ask every guest.
You're listening to the Wealth Matters Podcast.
The Wealth Matters Podcast.
For more info about what we do, check us out at wealthmatters.com. It's wealth, WEALTH, matters, MATRS.com.
Welcome back to Wealth Matters Podcast. I am chatting with Martynas about why social media marketing is important for real estate investors and actually for every investor. So, Martynas, are you ready for 5 rounds?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Would you be changing business or investment strategy after coronavirus is over?
Yeah, probably not. Just, because now, like during the COVID, and I think again, a lot of people and businesses are taking the foot from the gas. They're not pushing that much, and now we're building this you know, kind of vehicle, and everything is going so fast. And now we're trying to make it even go faster. So definitely, when the COVID is going to be over, we're just going to go even faster. So it's going to be just that.
Favorite finance, real estate, or any other book?
Rich Dad Poor Dad. No, I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
kidding. Of course not. I
And
have to say.
like 90% of the guests have recommended.
No. It's not it. 'Cause my favorite book that I kind of read long ago was Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz.
Oh, okay. Okay. I got to read that book. I know one of my
Yeah.
friend had recommended as well. So I'll pick that up.
Yeah.
Any tool or website you recommend or you cannot live without?
Google.
Google. Any advice for beginner investors?
Just take it. Just do it. As Nike says, just do it.
Let's do it. How do you give back?
Phew, how do you get back? I think doing this, because people have to understand. Like even though you go on a podcast, and again, like I'm very grateful every time I go or spend time with somebody. I seen that in a movie not long ago, and kind of that give me a brand new perspective. As I mentioned, gold, Bitcoin, real estate, things like that. We think it's a real expensive commodity, but overall in life, time is the most expensive commodity. So I think spending time with somebody is the greatest gift or way that you can give back.
That's awesome. How can my listeners reach out to you?
They can find me on Google. If you just Google my name, again, as hard as it sounds, but if you cannot find me there, please don't contact me, because I'm doing a really good job marketing myself. So, but
No, that was a
serious,
TikTok video.
here you go. Here you go. But on a serious note, Martynas Fedotovas on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Basically, if you go and search for Beating Alpha, you're going to find a lot of great episodes again here and as on your podcast. And you can find me, very easy. So.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think you are the only Martynas Fedotovas, so yeah, they
Probably.
should be able to find you.
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
thank you so much, Martynas.
Thank you, Alpesh.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Matters podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes so others can enjoy the show too. Have a great week and happy investing!